Hello again, and welcome to another episode of 1001 by 1, where each week we take a film out of the book, 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die, discuss it, analyze it, and ultimately decide whether or not it should be in the book. My name is Adam St. John.
My name is Britt Hobson.
And my name is Joey Rogate.
And today I am going to drive my co-hosts into the heart of a political uprising for a huge payout, only to discover that we cannot trust what the media is telling us, and sometimes civil unrest is the best way to enact change when being oppressed by a corrupt government. Thank you all for joining us for our discussion on 2018's South Korean film, A Taxi Driver. I'm super excited to talk about this one. This was one of those movies that I'd never seen before. I think it was my first wild card pick in the draft. And I just was like, I like Song Kang-ho, and I think that the cover looks lovely. So let's try it out.
The cover makes it look like it's just a romp.
It makes it look like you're about to embark on just a really wholesome journey with a taxi driver who is just a little down on his luck, maybe, right? You know, maybe he has the most positive outlook. And this movie is not that. And I'm thrilled it's not that. I don't know if I'd like it if it was that. But anyways, we'll get into that in a minute. First, we're going to start out with some film recommendations. And I feel like I usually choose Adam first. So I'm going to go with Joey. Joey, what's your film recommendation today?
You know, I'm going to keep it in the country. I'm going
Nice.
to go with 2025's No Other Choice because it is great. And it, I will, talk other times about how it got ignored, and that makes me sad. But it's really great. I love that movie a whole lot, and it deserves better than it got.
Did you see that there's going to be a director's cut of it, which is apparently 18 minutes longer?
Hell yeah.
And I was like, ooh, I don't think we need it to be 18 minutes longer. I think it was long enough.
I disagree. I was like,
Okay,
let's go.
It's specifically for you then. I actually think it could have, I think it might have been stronger if it was just a little bit shorter, but I really like that movie. I think it's great. And I went to go see it in the cinema with my husband, and I had a great time. He didn't really like it, but he doesn't like anything, and we all know that. So neither here nor there. Great. No Other Choice. That's an awesome recommend. Adam, what are you going with?
I am also going to keep it in the country. I do not know what year this movie came out. That's on me. And this was a movie that, when you picked this, I got a trifecta of movies from Amazon that were all kind of packaged together as like a bundle price. So I got this. I got Burning, which I had seen before, and I got The Wailing, which is a fucking wild movie that is essentially about a demon that starts to possess people, and we think we know who it is, but then it's actually not that person. It's very long. I mean, I also think it could be a little shorter. But there are some really disturbing images in that movie. I think it's really quirky. With there's a particularly interesting moment where they have to get a shaman to come in and essentially try to get this evil out of a young girl that I think is particularly captivating. But it is also a strange movie.
Yeah, it is.
But if you like South Korean movies and you like strange, I think The Wailing is going to be right up your alley. So that's what I'm recommending this week is The Wailing.
It's 100% right up my alley. I love The Wailing. I think it came out in 2017.
I was going to say 2016. Yeah.
Something.
About the same time as this.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy that movie. I remember I just saw a still from The Wailing and went, oh, I need to watch this. And I was correct. I love it. I think that's a great recommend as well. I am keeping it in the country as well. I actually kind of had a difficult time trying to find something to suggest for this because I feel like I talk about South Korean films all the time that I've already discussed every single one I would recommend. So I went through a couple different ones before finally in the 11th hour settling on one. And I am going to recommend Peppermint Candy from 1999. It's directed by Lee Chang-dong, who is incredible. And this movie, and this is not really giving anything away because this happens within the first 5 minutes of the film. This movie follows the events that lead to a man's suicide in reverse. And do yourself a favor, watch this film. Do yourself a favor and watch every single Lee Chang-dong film out there that you can get a hold of. I don't want to give too much away, but it does go with the film we're currently watching. It has there are similar themes throughout, and I just think it's really amazing and really devastating. It's on Canopy, so highly recommend it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, Canopy, our favorite, other than Tubi. But fun fact, I almost picked Lee Chang-dong for our director ranking, not this last draft, but the one before. But Oasis was very hard to find, so I thought that would make it difficult. And we had just done a South Korean director, so I felt like I didn't want to. That's why I ended up going with going the way that I did and went with Wong Kar-wai instead, because I wanted to, I don't know, do something different. But I still think that is up there for a director ranking for me, because I think he is very interesting and very good. Very, very good. Same director, he did Burning, so, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he does very cerebral, intense movies that don't always make sense, but that doesn't matter to me because they're so good. But Peppermint Candy is really good. So yeah, just 3 bangers right out of the gate. No Other Choice, The Wailing, and Peppermint Candy, all from South Korea. So good job, gang. I'm very proud of us. Okay, so why don't we get into our discussion about A Taxi Driver? This has a 97% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, 82% audience score, a 7.9 out of 10 on IMDb. I didn't check its Letterboxd score, but I'm assuming it's probably somewhere around like 3.8 or something.
4.2.
It's a 4.2?
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. Good job, A Taxi Driver. Okay, so here we go. Cast and crew. This was directed by Hoon Jung. It was written by Yuna Om. The composer is Cho Young-wook, who also does a lot of stuff for Park Chan-wook. Same with the cinematographer, Nak Seon-go. The editors were Kim Jae-bom and Kim Sang-bom. Song Kang-ho stars as Kim Man-sob, a widowed taxi driver who steals cab fare in order to pay back his rent. Thomas Kretschmann is Jürgen Hinzpeter, a German journalist. Yoo Hae-jin is Hwang Tae-sul, a kind-hearted local taxi driver. Ryu Jun-jeol is as Ju Jae-sik, a university student who translates for Jürgen, even though Song Kang-ho is technically supposed to be able to speak English. Park Hyuk-kwon is reporter Choi, who is on the ground in Gwangju, and Choi Gui-hwa is the leader of the plainclothes officers who is working with the military to stop the uprising. There are so many people in this movie. I could go on, but I feel like it would just be naming off more people. So those are the ones that I chose. Is there anybody that you all would like to shout out?
You know, I rarely do this because I feel like we get everybody, but I would like to call out Yoon Mi as Yoon Jung, who is the daughter.
Oh yeah,
I think she plays an important, small but important part into Kim's story. So
I totally agree. That was an oversight.
That's my only addition.
I like that. Joey, you got any?
No.
It's only the Italians that he does every single one. You know, that's his favorite. His
Gorlami.
Favorite,
Gorlami. Only when it's funny.
So this movie received some independent recognition in the West, but it was really pretty much ignored for the most part. But it received plenty of accolades in South Korea and in Asia. In particular, at the Blue Dragon Awards, it was nominated for a bunch of stuff, but it won Best Film, Best Actor, Best Music, and the Audience Choice Award, which I think it's very cool to have that it won Best Film and the Audience Choice Award. I feel like that just showcases that it was a really impactful movie, especially in South Korea. Did you guys have any reviews that you really feel the need to talk about?
Yes, but I would like to save it till we get closer to the conversation of the movie.
Okay. A lot of the ones that I found said very similar things. I didn't have any that were translated from Korean. I felt like some of the Western reviews, it's not that they missed the point, but they they don't have the context and for what the film is about, and it just rang a little bit hollow for me. So I was like, I don't. I'm gonna
A
wipe
lot
my
of them
hands
felt
it.
like first Korean movie,
Yeah,
first
I agree.
subtitled film review.
Or saying, well, I've watched these other Korean films, and it's here. I'm going to name drop 2 of them, and it was like that every time. And
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, I was like, okay, calm down. Just go watch a couple more South Korean films. They're amazing. But I'm so excited to hear what your review is, Adam, when we get to it.
We'll see if it pays off at all.
It might. I have faith in you. Hey gang, do we think that this is in the IMDb top 250?
I would say no.
I'm gonna go with not a chance.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. So Taxi Driver is at 135, and I only bring that up because I cannot tell you the amount of times I was trying to research a taxi driver and just got overloaded with articles about Taxi Driver. And I was like, this is not what I'm looking for. It's kind of interesting how little information there is about this and how little information there is about the Gwangju Uprising in 1980. Like, even if you go to like BBC, you'll find maybe 5 articles about it. And I find that bizarre and disappointing. Hey gang, this isn't in the National Film Registry because this is a Korean film.
Yes.
So
sound point.
Yeah. And then, do you like lists? Do either of you like lists?
Love them.
Great.
Yes. I had photo call tonight and I had to generate some lists. So yes, lists, they help. They get me through.
Well, I'm glad they get you through. I just find them exhausting, but that's okay. I did find a list for today. So here's the thing. I really wanted to find a list about political uprisings or civil unrest or violent protests, something to do with that, or even films that are not quite based on true stories that shift into something completely different. And every single list I found was basically all just Western movies, and that was very disappointing to me because it's not just a Taxi Driver. There are so many other films out there that tackle these topics. It's not just something that happens in the West, so I got annoyed. And instead, my list is the 15 best Korean films of the decade from Medium. This is from 2010 to 2019. So please, so all you know, this is going in order of when they came out. So it's not ranked.
Oh, it's not ranked by quality. It's just these 15.
Yes. And we'll go ahead and go through all 15 because they're good movies and I want to. So we have 2010s. I Saw the Devil. Starting out with a fucking banger, right?
Great.
Then we have 2011's The Crucible or The Silenced. Have either of you watched this?
I have not.
No, I've seen it up in queues and it's there, but I haven't gotten to it.
It's very good, but it's very hard. I will say this is a really, really difficult watch, especially because it's about children being abused in schools and it's based on a true story. It's very hard, but it's absolutely worth watching. Then we have 2011's Unbowed, which I haven't seen, so I have to put it on my list now. We have 2012's Pieta, which I have on my list because I'm doing the 2012 Rev Almanac ranking, Rev Almanac episode for the Oscars. So I was like, great, put that one on my list to watch because we know I don't want to watch the actual Oscar movies. We have 2013's As One, which I also haven't seen. There's a lot of movies on here that I haven't seen. I'm really excited about it, so everybody can enjoy them. Apparently this one has a really good K-pop song in it, so I'm into that. We have 2013's Snowpiercer, which I thought you two would be very happy about. We all know my feelings on that, but that's okay. We have 2014's Sea Fog, which again has been on my list for a while, but I still haven't seen this one. We have 2014's Ode to My Father. I really like this movie. I think everybody should watch it. It's really interesting. And just it's a great one. We have 2015's The Throne. Okay. We have 2016's The Handmaiden, which it should be on here.
Yeah,
I would have
okay.
been very mad if it wasn't.
I hope so.
We have 2016's The Wailing, which I agree should also be on here. It's a really interesting, unique horror movie about like a horror possession film. We have 2017's Oakjaw. And I have opinions about this being on the list. Like, Okja just doesn't need to be here. There are some bangers on this list, and Okja seems totally misplaced. We have 2017's A Taxi Driver. At number 14, we have 2018's Burning. And at number 15, what else could it be? Parasite, obviously.
Yeah.
Probably like one of the greatest movies that's ever happened. It's just amazing, and I love it. And
I do wonder what number 16 was that Okja made it.
Right? I know. What is number 16? Like, what did they kick off the list so that Okja could be there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, there are plenty of other movies that could have been in there anyways, instead, and they didn't put them on there. So, all right, friends. I guess it's time to jump in to talk about A Taxi Driver. For anybody that hasn't seen it, down on his luck, Kim Man-sub is a private taxi driver who spends his days in Seoul trying to care for his daughter, but finds it hard to make ends meet. Facing eviction if he can't come up with the money for his rent, he steals the fare of another driver to take a foreign journalist to Gwangju, which is currently in the midst of a political uprising. While Kim Man-sub doesn't agree with the protests, he drives the passengers straight into the heart of the uprising, and over the course of the movie, he is moved by the plight of the protesters and begins to understand that he must stand up for what is right. That's the movie. Basically, there's a lot of stuff that goes in there. There's a lot of food that comes up in this movie that just breaks my heart. Like, it makes me want to sit and have meals with everybody that I know, and just, I love it. Okay, so I love doing this podcast with you too, because we get the opportunity to talk about movies that, like, who knows if we would have gone to this film. I don't know if it's been on my watch list forever, and I never came around to it. And I think it's so much fun that we get the opportunity to just randomly put on something like this. And I learned a lot from this film, just in general, because I didn't know anything about the Gwangju uprisings. I didn't really know about the political unrest in Korea for, I don't know, since, World War II, basically. Well, no, way before then. Korea's history is absolutely bonkers. And I don't know, I just think it's fun that we get an opportunity to talk about this. So thanks, guys, for showing up today. Had either of you seen this movie before?
No, not at all. And I love the cover. I thought it was going to be, one of the reviews I read was actually, somebody was like, I thought I was going to watch The Hangover, and it was not that.
Very, very different. Maybe tonally at certain points one might think that this was going to be a comedy, because damn, the tonal shifts in this film.
This movie's funny.
Yes.
I laughed numerous times, and then it absolutely, like you said, the tonal shifts are violent.
Very violent.
Then something else but like, it is funny. Song Kang-ho is very funny. He's always very funny. He just has like a humor about him, but like, he's funny in this. Neurotic Taxi Driver is funny.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
And I like him so much more in this than in The Host. In The Host,
yes.
I just found him on the verge of, like, this person doesn't exist in real life to me, which was hard to watch that movie and be on board with what was happening. But here, the down on your luck, like, just trying to get by, like, I bought him as kind of this surly, not overly aggressive taxi driver. Like, I bought him in it. He was funny when he needed to be. He was compelling when he needed to be. And it certainly made the movie, it's really the thing that really kind of kept me going. It was his performance. Like, what is he going to do next?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that what I really like about his character is there's no point where I didn't want to follow him, but I also didn't like him that much. But I didn't feel like I needed to like him all the time. I didn't agree with the decisions that he was making. I kind of was frustrated with him for being so blasé about what was happening in Gwangju.
But that's real. That's what people do. If it's not in my face, why are you doing it? It's not like, that's a very real thing. And then he sees it and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But not
I'm a human being now.
It's not just that it's in his face, because it is in his face, but even then he's still trying to rack with the fact that his daughter is out like he hasn't been able to communicate with her. And yes, I think we can make the assumption that she will probably go next door and that she will probably be fine. But part of why I found him so compelling was like, fuck, that's tough. Like you can't obviously ignore what's happening right in front of you, of course. But like the one person, the absolute one person who you care the most about, you can't reach out to, you can't connect to, which is fucking terrifying. Like the thought of that is like absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah, I think that they did a very good job of setting up that relationship with him and his daughter. She seems so broken, which makes me so sad, and he doesn't quite know how to connect with her. And as like his backstory comes out throughout the film, you find out, you know, his wife passed away. He's on his own. He has this taxi because he's trying to be enough for her. But like, even when he gets home in the evening, she's already resting because it's late and he wasn't there for her. He doesn't provide her with the things that she needs, not because he doesn't want to, but because he's not around enough to know. Like, you know, with the shoes, for instance, when he's like,
Right.
don't fold over the back of your shoes, she goes, well, they don't fit anymore. And he gets embarrassed and upset because not only is he like, oh, you should have told me that, but there is that recognition on his face of like, I should have known that. I should have anticipated that my daughter would need new shoes, and he didn't provide that for her. And it's such Song Kang-ho is very good at playing super low status, like lowest status you could possibly be. He is so at the bottom of the barrel. And then also when he's eating dinner with her and she mentions that it was the neighbor that
just amazing,
the neighbor that made it, and he just like the perfect second just like lets it fall out of his mouth, which for the most part would disgust me. But in that moment I was like, comedy timing is gold. It's perfect in that scene.
You know, I read some reviews that called him some version of deadbeat, and I do not think he was a deadbeat whatsoever. No. So like I had a hard time getting into a lot of these reviews because I feel like they were just missing everything. Like, this guy's not a deadbeat. He's doing his best. He's not succeeding, but he's trying, and that's his sole motivation for pretty much doing everything that he's doing. So because I love that relationship. And I mean, the part where he's telling the story, he talks about his daughter waking up holding the mom's clothes was devastating.
Yeah.
Like, that was really hard to watch.
I read a lot of reviews where they were talking about how it was a neutered version of what happened, especially compared to other movies that tackle this subject matter. And I guess that's true because it doesn't go into quite everything that happens in the background. One of the issues that they had was that there were only 5 taxi drivers when really it was an entire fleet of taxis. Yeah, it was a parade of taxis. And I was like, well, yes, but at the same time, that would almost feel too unbelievable. I think that they pulled back in places where they felt the need to, so that the audience could connect with the story.
It needed to feel like they were living it and not this larger than life thing. It was more, and it's also something that people don't know about.
Yes,
even once this happened and it was over, the people who kind of supported it were still in power, so it still wasn't allowed to be talked about.
I mean,
so this wasn't written well about in the history books. So it's still, so I think any amount of getting it out is better than 100% nailing the nuance of it. Like,
yeah, I personally agree, but I also really was very connected with this film. It took me a minute to understand what our tone was going to be, and then I realized, we're not going to have a tone because the tone is going to be constantly flipping with where Song Kang-ho's character is. We're going on that journey with him of radicalization. And I personally thought that was very successful, but I also can understand how that would be a little grating because it is wildly inconsistent through the film. What type
some
of
people
film
can't handle a tonal shift, right?
Exactly.
I've heard people complain about that with Parasite. If you can't handle that there, you're gonna have a bad time.
You're gonna have a real bad time with the taxi driver, because I think we have like 8 different genres in one in this film.
And what I like. The opening, like few minutes where he's trying to get the couple to the hospital because she's in labor, and that whole thing. I mean, obviously you can see the political upheaval in the background, but it's so like comic antic timing, and then when he finally, like, he's kind of taking, like, he's driving around it, like that whole thing has been settled and he's going home. The music is playing, and like I took a note. I was like, this music reminds me of Amelie, where it's like this lighthearted. It's just kind of jaunty and fun, and I'm like, oh,
it's super fun. Super fun music. Yep, the score is a blast. It's like I actually kept thinking about The Sting, where I was just like, I'm just having a good time listening to this.
That's fine.
I think that the music is really smart. It was one of the things, and when I was looking at all the awards, basically every time anything was nominated from this film, music was nominated as well. The composer was nominated, and I think that's because it manages to not only lull us into a safe, secure place where we kind of think we're going on a taxi journey with this man. Oh, there's a bit of an uprising. Like I don't think that we're prepared for what we see later on. But then when they continue with the music, it has a new purpose. It has a new it kind of has a rebirth in the film into becoming something that's a little bit more powerful and kind of brings us back to the taxi driver's roots. I think it's really successful in that regard. I really like the music as well.
If I could jump on the Song Kang-ho
absolutely
love affair for a moment.
Yes. He's our patron saint. We love him. The only thing we mentioned is a drop kick.
You mentioned that. Wow, God, it would have worked so well in this movie too.
If he just took out a fucking military guy instead,
that would have been awesome.
Like they were going after Jay
honestly,
Sick, and he just comes and just drops him.
Even if halfway through, when like his car's not working, if he had drop kicked another taxi driver, it would have made sense in the moment.
Would have made sense.
He's just frustrated and like fucking drop kicks him.
Dude, drop kick the plainclothes police officer.
When Pete handed him the money, when he was realizing he couldn't talk to his daughter, if he just drop kicked the German.
Oh my God! I mean, the German would have absolutely deserved it.
But there's I've been over like the last, basically since I got out of grad school, I've been developing a warm up based on the four things that I think that every actor should be aware of and be able to accomplish. One of them is connection to breath. One of them is what I call freedom in the form. One of them is to not anticipate what's going to happen next. And the other thing that I do in this warm up is I think it's highly important. And it's something that Song Kang-ho, I think, does so extremely well, which is that you have to not only be comfortable with, but be excited about making an ass out of yourself. And he is so comfortable with being kind of a dork, kind of an idiot, kind of a bumbling, and there are moments where he just doesn't know, or he falls over, or he does it so well. And I think that there are so many actors who are so concerned about well, I don't want to look like an idiot. I don't want to play a character who's dumb, or I don't want, but come on, what are you doing? Be well-rounded, play these people. And his lack of arrogance when it comes to himself as an actor it's very well appreciated, at least in the St. John household.
Yeah. Listen, the scene when they get to the first riot and they're on the rooftop and the two journalists and Jay Sick are watching, and he's sitting there eating the buns, and they're talking about how dangerous it is for the reporters and for the people helping them, and they all look at him, and he just looks up and goes, "Want one?" That's amazing, because it's so just disconnected from everything. Because he's about to yell danger 400 times, but doesn't know what's going on yet.
No idea what's going on.
But this is why Song Kang-ho is fucking great.
Well,
because he goes warts and all. He's a person in these things.
Can you imagine if we had done a film like this in the United States and we had Tom Cruise playing a taxi driver like this going into the heart of an uprising? Do you really think he would ever allow himself to get beat over the head by a plainclothes police officer and then have a stick, one of those batons, held against his throat to the point where he almost dies? Do you really think we'd ever get that? No, we would get him.
America is the Fast and Furious.
Exactly. Well, I mean, let's be real. During the incredible taxi,
the Fast and Furious with American flags everywhere.
Well, it was really funny at the end of the movie when we had our great taxi moment where all the taxis came back against the armored vehicles. Neil goes, "God, I didn't know Korea had their own Fast and Furious franchise." And I was like, "That's pretty good. It's pretty good," when it just became an action movie. But can you imagine anybody doing that? No, because Song Kang-ho allows himself to be injured. He allows himself to be taken advantage of. He allows himself to kind of hit rock bottom in movies. And it's so appreciated. Makes him so much more human. I get really sick of like never being able to see somebody get hurt in a movie when they're in dangerous situations, or never having one pulled over on them. Like, well, you think that you're going to get away with that, but I actually had the upper hand the entire time. Like, movie stars don't allow that to happen. And Song Kang-ho does. And I appreciate that so much. Plus, he's got a good dropkick that I want us to see more of.
Listen, if he's driving a car, the movie's going to be a banger. The hit rate is there. Sure. I haven't seen one. He doesn't drive in The Host.
Probably doesn't know how.
Just saying. That's where they missed. He wasn't capable of driving in The Host, and that's why that movie doesn't fully work. Because when he drives, when there's a scene with him driving close, it's fucking great.
I mean, the moment where all the taxi drivers decide they're going out, and he goes, "Let me come with you. I'm a great driver," or I can drive well. I was like, oh my God. And that's like a tactic that they actually did use during the Gwangju Uprising, because they didn't have access to the weapons that the military had, obviously, but they had access to cars. They had access to trucks. They had access to buses. There was like a car plant in Gwangju that everybody had obviously stopped going into work because there was an uprising, and it was basically a military takeover. And so they just commandeered everything from there, and did actually use the tactics that were shown in the movie, where they would drive a big ass truck straight into the barricade, and the smaller cars would come in to try to grab people and get out if they could. Like, it was, I don't know. It's very hard to find information about this uprising. And everything that you find in English is very sanitized. I listened to, let me see if I can find, I have it written down here. I listened to a really awesome, like 3 to 4 part series about it on, it's called, what is the podcast called? I have this down in a different part, so that's why. Anyways, I listened to an incredible podcast about it that really kind of went into the intricacies of this uprising. It was super brutal, super difficult to listen to. The fact that we still don't know how many people died and never will know how many people died is atrocious to me, considering the Korean government has said 200 people died, but it's probably closer to like 2,300 people. But
I saw as high as 2,500.
Yeah. It's horrific. Like, the fact that the day that this happened, May 18th, the government had asked the students to stop protesting. And the students had agreed, like, there was an agreement. Okay, we'll stop protesting, but we've got one more protest here in Gwangju. So we're going to go through with that. And and the military had already come in and commandeered a bunch of the schoolhouses for their own stuff, so they could, have those grounds to train. And the protest was peaceful. And the military came in and started to kill everybody. They started to beat the shit out of anybody that was there. Didn't matter if you were a student, if you were a child, if you were just a bystander. There were cops that were going in to help people that had been injured, and they were killing the people who were trying to help those injured. Like, it was horrific what was happening. And I'd never heard of this before. I mean, I'd seen it in Peppermint Candy is also about Gwangju. Like, it shows up at a certain point. So I'd kind of knew a little bit about it, but this was really the thing that opened my eyes to it. And it made me think, wow, there are so many things about the world that we're just not told because of our government, because our government doesn't want us to know. They don't want us to know that they were complicit in what happened. They were not only funding the regime, but continued to fund the regime after this type of thing happens. And we can see that happening all over the world. It was an upsetting history lesson. Like, we know they did that, right? But going in deep on this, as deep as I could with the few resources we have, was very hard. Very, very hard.
Well,
Sorry, I went on a lovely rant there.
No. And I'll be honest, like, this was just kind of a busy week because I'm going into tech for a show. So I didn't do much of a deep dive in terms of the subject material. And in the best way possible, I kind of assumed you would, not just because it's your episode, but like you,
no,
you do it. And we appreciate the work, like very much so.
We need it. We need it.
So I was definitely like, I'm more focused on the storytelling and the filmmaking that's in front of me, right? Because unfortunately that's really all I got. And so I watched the movie and it ended and I felt neither here nor there about it, to be perfectly honest. And then when I was looking up the information about it, I too saw that astounding 97% critical score on Rotten Tomatoes. I was like, holy shit. Like, am I just not seeing what everybody else is seeing? Because I wasn't like low on it by no means. And I want to make this very clear. By no means do I not like this movie, but I'm very okay. I'm just very tepid on it. I mean, give me the looks all you want to. That's fine.
McAdam doesn't like movies about the
Joey and I did make a joke
uprising
about the
against the
return of
government.
McAdam.
Where's your "Don't tread on me" flag while telling people to show their papers, bootlicker?
So this is really funny that you bring this up because there is a running joke amongst the cast of the show that I'm directing, a cast of whom I should say are college students and some of my students. There is a running joke prompted by, I'm not quite sure what, where they jokingly call me racist, homophobic, misogynistic, sexist, ableist, and a slew of other things that I am not. Now, the whole thing is that I'm not these things, but they say it anyway. So I'm getting it from you guys, and I'm getting it from my cast, and I'm like, listen, you guys are going to say this enough to the point where it's like, don't change me. I don't want to be these things. So please.
And you're not. And that's the thing. And you're not. Because Christ, thank God. You're not like, oh no, if you just show your papers, we'd all get along. Don't protest.
My problem with the movie is that the protesters
agree with me and just
the protesters should have just gone home. You know what I mean? Like, just go home and relax and take a chill pill and let them just run through Gwangju, and then they'll leave, and then everything will be fine. You know, that
you
was
don't
really
need rights.
No, not at all.
Rights.
Not at all.
You don't need a democracy. Military coups
where
are
I was
the
going.
best.
Yeah, anyway.
I was going with a review. I was going to talk about a review.
Yes.
That apparently was written by somebody named Simon Abrams for RogerEbert.com. And
I didn't like this one.
Oh, did you read it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it starts out, it goes, if nothing else, the South Korean historical drama A Taxi Driver proves that seemingly unstoppable star Song Kang-ho can in fact do wrong. Song, perhaps best known to American audiences for The Host and Snowpiercer, has an emotional range that very few contemporary leading men have. He proves his versatility once again in A Taxi Driver, a tribute to real-life German journalist Jürgen Hinzpeter and the mysterious Korean cab driver that accompanied Jürgen to and from rural Gwangju during the violently suppressed student protests of 1980. Song is so charming that he makes you want to care even when his character is defined by unmoving declamations and a predictable character arc. Song's performance makes me wish that that A Taxi Driver was as thoughtful. And that's the opening paragraph of the review.
Yeah.
And it goes on to try to explain the plot. And at the end, it again talks about his versatility and how good Song is. He talks about the moment where Song is even good enough to make the otherwise canned scene where he tearfully breaks down and talks about how hard it was to lose his wife. As he sobs uncontrollably, Song makes you wish that this moment had as much impact as it should. This big moment ultimately falls flat, though, as the makers of A Taxi Driver would sooner print an unbelievable legend than a relatable truth. Now, again, I have no context for the real story, but I did have a hard time connecting with anybody that wasn't Song. And that's tricky in the movie.
So Jay Sick, I was all in on. Peter was difficult. He was the most, how do I say this? Peter, I was a little bit Peter always felt like he was at a distance. And his arc was just kind of like not an arc, I think.
I
agree.
It was
just kind of people were, this was a job and now I care. But it just kind of was like, so it just, not that it was unearned. I don't think that's fair. I just think it was rushed. I think it was rushed. And I think that was my only real issue with this was Peter. But listen, let's be completely honest. American movies have spent 100 years not writing non-white guys great. So you know what? Koreans got us back.
I I agree. I think that for the most part, Peter was the weakest link in this whole movie. And I think some of that also comes from probably like, I think a lot of the specific scenes where it was just English language didn't quite vibe well for me. I think it was probably a directional thing, how it just like didn't quite know how to get the performances that they wanted or the inflection they wanted out of the words, right? But I do think there is one scene in particular that is fantastic with him, and it's when the really lovely taxi driver, Wang Tai-sul, brings them back to his family's home, and they're all eating food that his wife has prepared, and he can't really understand what they're all saying all the time, but you can tell he's trying to integrate himself, and he's just kind of appreciating what's going on around him. And I think that's the most humanist moment in the whole movie. I love that scene because it shows this levity that can exist in a war-torn area. And I think that's a problem with a lot of films about political unrest. This is going to be a really weird comparison, but Neil and I have been rewatching Hunger Games for some reason. I think it's because he had never seen it, and then we just have gone through them all. And during Mockingjay Part 1, which I had never seen and he had never seen, he was like, this is miserable. This is a terrible movie. And at the end of it, he goes, you know what it is? There's absolutely no levity. There's no levity in movies like this. There's nothing to hang on to and humanize, because even in moments of like pure horror, there's people can have levity. There can be something that keeps you from sinking straight down into that despair. And I think this movie does a very good job of showcasing that, especially in that scene right there. It shows these people all sitting around together, enjoying a meal, laughing at this guy who wants to be a singer but can't really sing. You know, it shows this human quality that comes from within a devastating thing that was happening. I did really connect with this film. I really, really liked it. I can understand you might, feel here or there on it, especially with the tonal shifts, but like I cried multiple times just because I was getting very overwhelmed by what was happening. Especially my favorite shot in the film is when Song Kang-ho finally goes down and, there's smoke bombs going off and everybody's running. And there's a specific shot where one half is like a bunch of children coming through the smoke and it's just completely blocked out by smoke on the left-hand side. And then the military starts coming and you can see them coming through, and it hit me and I went, oh my God, all these people are going to die. And the first time I watched it, I just started sobbing because I knew nothing good could happen after this. And I found it very, I connected with it. It hit me pretty hard. So I don't like that review, Adam. I think it's wrong.
I think the review was a little bit all over
Harsh.
the place, but I really liked it. I love this movie. I watched it twice.
Me too.
And I was really all in on it. But Peter was the toughest part just because he was such a dick for no reason at times. Like he was just so all over the place. It was hard to get in with him.
I think it's a little, I think we're all in agreement about Thomas Kretschmann being kind of the weak link of the movie. And a little bit of it too is just interesting because like he's this, when you meet him, he's this like, sort of covert journalist who knows how to get through customs and has a whole game plan, and like he's this hard-bitten reporter who like he's seen shit. Like he knows how this is going to go. He knows what's going to happen. And there's a moment that feels a little disingenuous to me where Song Kang-ho finally makes it back. Like he's left, he's gotten the shoes, but he's hearing the locals of wherever he stopped be like, but like these students they're rioting. It's the students who are wrong, right? Which I mean, there's no government would ever tell its population that something's happening when it's really not.
Government would just kill their own citizens, right?
Heavy
That's
sarcasm.
Never gonna happen.
But so Song Kang-ho finally gets back and he gets to the hospital, and there's this moment where Peter is, or not Peter. It's just the part of the last name. Jürgen is so like overwhelmed that he's sitting there sobbing. And I'm not saying that he might not have been overwhelmed, but that doesn't feel like what a seasoned journalist would do. It felt, I don't know, it was this weird moment where I didn't really buy him in that moment. And it's just one moment in the movie, but I was like, this feels a little, A little like a filmmaker trying to let us know that the reporter is overwhelmed by the story that he has uncovered, I guess.
Right. But, everything up until that point, it was so matter of fact. It didn't make sense. But Song Kang-ho was so good in that scene, forcing him to do it. But didn't super make sense for his character, but for the Peter's, the journalist character, like you're saying. But, then that leads to one of my favorite scenes when Song Kang-ho sees Jay sick and he puts his shoes on.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, yeah,
that was really tough. I mean,
great scene.
It was. That was a really interesting point in the film where people are running away from the people trying to kill them, and people are losing their shoes. Like, you just see shoes on the ground, and that image really hit me hard. And I think it's because one of my mom's very, very good friends escaped from Saigon when it fell, and one of her things was she was running so fast to the helicopter that she lost her shoe, and she ended up going through customs in the United States with one shoe, and that was days later because they were running so fast. If she had gone back for it, she wouldn't have survived. And I think that that was such an important visual for me. It really hit me hard, going oh my God, these people are running so fast that they can't even grab their shoes to ensure that they can continue to run. They just have to go. And him replacing the student's shoe was really that was the moment where I feel like he really did make that choice to stand up with them, to stand up against a corrupt government, even if they weren't going to be able to enact all of the change that they wanted to right then. I don't know. This movie hit me really hard. It really did. I think some of it is probably because we are currently in a pretty tumultuous time in our own country. Things are really scary here. And, there's a lot of questioning of what we can do to help other than vote, which is what we do, right? We vote, but what else can we do? And I don't know, there's something really uplifting about seeing a bunch of people coming together and causing civil unrest because it's the only thing they can do to try to make a difference. There's something really powerful about that to me.
Yeah. And, I was thinking the plainclothes military guys, what they made me think about? And it got me and sent me this whole thing. Had me thinking about zone of interest. And, you're not taken by this, you're taken by your neighbor and the butcher and that, and the guy in the community. And we first meet the head guy and he beats the crap out of the protester who thinks he's helping him up, and the look of shock on that guy's face. Yeah. Went to Zone of Interest, and I think, Zone of Interest is 3 years old and keeps getting more and more and more relevant. And, it's divisive for the same reason it was. People don't want to believe that that's what happens. And so, for this movie with that cover to have me thinking about the zone of interest, I think they did a really great job of laying all the stakes out there and everything without having to over explain what was going on. They made it clear what happened in their word, in a safe way to tell it, that borderline banned in China. And they were really, they did a lot. They did a lot here.
There was a lot to do. This is a pretty big story that doesn't have so the podcast I listened to was called Working Class History. It had a really awesome 4-part series on the Gwangju Uprising. Not only did they translate a bunch of stuff from Korean, but they also had actual survivors that they talked to. And one of the things that they talked about was what we see in the movie is pretty awful. It's atrocious. But what happened there was even worse. And I kind of feel like if they had pushed it too far with this movie, I don't know if there's a way to come back from that, right? I'm not sure. I think if they had gone too far into the realism in this film, I'm not sure it would have. I don't think they could totally come back from that.
Here. I know there's a movie May 18th that's supposed to. I didn't get a chance to see, but that's supposed to be the more visceral. But everything I read about it was that it's borderline unwatchable because it's 2 hours of just brutal.
Yeah.
There's a need. There's a place for that. Again, I think the zone of interest is in that realm to an extent, right? But there's also something to be said for telling a story that more people are going to watch, that will then get those people to do research about what happened.
Yeah,
because you're now reaching more people by telling it. Listen, this wasn't an easy movie to watch. The riot scenes were heinous.
Yeah, they're horrendous.
And, but I think balancing the line to them fighting over a starter works, and him covering his car wherever he goes. You know what? That's fucking funny.
Yeah, no.
It's really funny.
Yeah, found that levity.
When they were running away from the first riot and they get in the car and he's still pulling the cover off, like, that's really funny. Like, just not fully getting the moment is very funny.
Nice moments of levity. What's favorite shots? I said mine. It was during the first riot. What about you guys?
When actually after your scene, when they're having dinner and kind of dancing, whatever, and there's the gunshots, and then they all go to the roof. There's a shot of the three of them, the kind of shadows, and you see the fire on the other side of the city at the newspaper, at the TV station. I'm sorry. I think that was a great shot.
Yeah.
Mine is it's at the kind of at the tail end of the chase scene with the taxis, and our nice local taxi driver who has befriended them and taken him home and stuff.
I love him.
There's where when he decides to go in reverse, and you realize that he's basically going to sacrifice himself to let them get away. I will say that I don't think this movie was. I think this movie could have been directed a little better. I think there could have been more interesting stuff done with the camera, which is one of my critiques. But one of the choices I actually really did like is he floors it in reverse, and he floors it out of frame, and the camera actually starts to slow down and slow down and slow down, which is nice because you get the implication of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We don't need to see it because it's become very, very clear what's going to happen. And then we crossfade into the scene of of Jurgen and Kim getting away. And it's just like you're constantly reminded how serene and beautiful the countryside in South Korea is. And it's this really interesting moment where we're cutting away from this terrible, terrible tragedy where all of these guys, all these taxi drivers have come together to basically help this guy get away so their story can be told. Right. To just like a slow, serene drive through South Korea. So that, but specifically the shot of the camera staying and the car going out of frame, I really liked.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Joey?
Scene?
Or shot?
Oh,
wait.
Shot was them at the.
That was my shot. Yeah.
That was shot. Scene. What scenes are we doing?
Any of the riot scenes, I think, were all really put together well, but the first one really got me.
Yeah.
Because I think it also does a good job. It's such a thorough job. It's not just college students getting beaten up. Like there's the one focus of the old lady getting beaten up. There's women. Like it's the whole realm. Like it's just it's real unforgiving. So
it was an unforgiving time. Again, on the podcast I listened to, they talked to a survivor who said that like the day when everything happened on like May 18th, or it was a couple days after that. It wasn't May 18th specifically, but it was while everything was going on. They were let out of school, and he was very young at the time, and he and his friends were like, well, we don't want to go home because our friends are going to make us, like our parents are going to make us study at home. So let's just kind of like go to the mall or whatever, because they didn't understand the gravity of what was happening. And basically they ran into some protesters, thought that they were interesting and decided to follow them and got caught up in everything. And this was a young kid. Like this was a middle schooler, basically, like probably like 12 years old or something. And he got caught up in a group of that. And he was like, I was watching people get their heads caved in with by the cops with their guns. And he was like, I froze and I was trying to I need to get up and run away. And I moved ever so slightly. And he was like, and then everything went dark and I wasn't sure what was happening. And he came to. And apparently a bunch of people had come out and pulled him into a house where there was an old woman and they didn't have any bandages. So she had to use old Korean remedies of herbs and her own sheets to try to staunch the bleeding because his head was bleeding. And it turns out that he'd been shot in the head by the military. And so I think that especially in that first scene, they do really showcase that it was not just the the people who were protesting, which is allowed. It was everybody. It didn't matter who you were. If you were within vicinity, they were going to come after you. Another thing that they would do, there was a Peace Corps individual who walked to Gwangju because he had friends there. and he came into the city and he noticed that there were helicopters, and somebody ran out of a store, grabbed him and pulled him in, and were like, "Are you stupid? What are you doing?" He was like, "No, I just was seeing what was happening." And they were going around in helicopters shooting anybody that was in the streets. Like, this could have gone so much farther than it did. And yet I do feel like it was subdued, but still showcased how brutal things were and how they did not, the military didn't stick to just the protesters. It was anybody that was in that area. And that's why so many people were so furious with what was happening. And the fact that the United States government funded this government for years and continued to fund this government that was taken over in a military coup. Like, I'm getting really heated. I'm sorry. I'm getting really upset about it because it's just like, this is stuff that we should know. We should know about this kind of stuff. And yet we aren't taught that in school. We aren't taught about these things that are happening. But then again, we're like right now, I'm thinking like, God, what did people do at the time? They didn't have cell phones. They didn't have like the internet. We have the internet now, and people still pretend that what they're saying doesn't exist. Like, they still think that people aren't like, we don't have a genocide going on right now, that we don't have people getting shot in our streets because, you know, our government is corrupt. I wish I could say things would get better, but we see with the internet, they're not, because people don't want to believe what's in front of them.
Yeah. I mean, now you can't even say it's not there because you see things.
It's there.
There's videos of every angle and people are like, well, he obviously did this. It's like, that didn't happen.
Yes.
You just...
and then we have a person in power who's just like lying, and everyone goes, well, he's correct. You know, it's very upsetting.
Well, the other thing too now is that it's, and I'm by no means trying to like speak negatively about anything that's happening right now, but sometimes there's like, you see one story about something, and then it's the next day there's something happening in another place.
Yeah.
And the next day, later that same day, it's so hard to like put your energy and focus and intent into a place, a cause sometimes, where it's like, Jesus, yesterday was this, and now today it's that. And, you know, I mean, pre-cell phone, I mean, we were limited to what we could see on the news. And that, I mean, I do totally understand why, like, Jurgen's whole purpose of like, if I can get this out of South Korea, then we can broadcast it.
Difference.
Right.
Exactly. And so there definitely is a true and honest, like, moral and ethical point at the center of this movie that absolutely should be told. And you're right. Sometimes it takes a movie to like bring it to people's attention that this is not just something that happened on the other side of the world that we can just politely just like, oh, well, it didn't happen to me. It is what it is. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, and then it's really, really hard to like know and to hear everything that you just said about the history of Gwangju and what happened on that day and just how horrific and bloody it was. And then for me to sit here and go, God, I wish the filmmaking was better. Because that's kind of where I'm at. Joey, you keep bringing up the zone of interest, and I'm like, but that movie is shot in such a unique way that like it's the story and the acting and the filmmaking. And I will be perfectly honest, I found the filmmaking just very paint by numbers. I thought it very much just
Jonathan Glazer. Like,
but like the fact that the acting, specifically Song Kang-ho, and the story is so compelling is what makes the movie, in my opinion, good, but not great. And that's where I'm at. This movie is good. I watched it. I very much enjoyed it for what it was. It's hard to say like it was a popcorn flick, but I definitely liked it for what it was. But I didn't cry. I didn't even get close to tears. And there are a slew of movies that try to tackle these.
Dude. You're just cold-hearted.
Maybe. I mean, I did cry during Train Dream, so I don't think that's entirely true. But it didn't click. Whatever, you from a logger family, you had an interaction.
I am from a logger family. Thank you very much. No, I love Train Dreams. I cried during Train Dreams as well. I cry during a lot of things. Okay, so who am I to judge? Let's be real. But I do judge you, so it's fine. We're at that point.
It happens quite a bit on this show from both of you.
McAdam.
Can't wait to send you a red hat.
You're like, I don't know, the military.
Burn it. I will burn it
like,
right away.
Good.
Maybe the military was right. Who knows? Like, gosh, Adam, I can't believe you said that. That's crazy.
They should just followed the curfew and everything would have been fine. Why would they try to bring news?
Why do we need assembly? Like, you don't need assembly.
People should not be videotaping things that the government does. Government
Absolutely
should tell
not.
us.
Actually, you should not be. Give me your ballot and I'll fill everything out for you. Like,
The government would never tell us that people from other countries are bad to distract from them doing horrible things.
Listen, I don't hear a false note in anything that you're saying. Like, this all sounds like really clearly thought. These are good ideas. These are good ideas that I think our current administration should be using. So,
well, it's been nice being on this podcast. Bye.
Yeah, yes.
Fuck you and I'm out. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. I guess that's a really good point. I do think some of this movie is pretty saccharine. Like, I'm specifically thinking, because I have it going right now. They just got to the checkpoint. And there's the military officer that sees his soul plates and lets them through. And that's a moment in the movie I'm like, why did we need to have that? I actually don't want the military humanized in this movie at all. And I didn't want that at the beginning. So I was like,
but not in that way. Not in that way. Like, I don't. It's like and it doesn't. And that's what I want to be clear.
No,
that's what I mean about the filmmaking techniques. It's like, we don't remember that guy doesn't come. He's not like, it's not like he's planted early in the movie that.
No,
exactly. It's. Yeah.
There are payoffs for certain things in the film. There are certain aspects that have payoffs.
Sure. No,
but it's like maybe
but
they should have cut other things that didn't have payoffs. Like, that could have been cut and it wouldn't have affected the movie at all.
Yeah. Like, that's a scene where they're like, this is a great idea. And then they couldn't talk themselves out of putting it in.
Absolutely.
Where I don't think it's bad. I just think it's unnecessary.
I think it's unnecessary too.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I was trying to replay what Joey said, but I was like, it's unnecessary. It wasn't needed.
It's also very long. Like, it did not, the flow to it, like.
The tension wasn't there as much during that. But then we got like the armored car taxi chase scene and I was like,
which was
bitch,
awesome.
I'm in. I'm so in for this. Like, this did not happen and I don't care. I'm thrilled that it exists in this movie.
I did want the happy taxi driver to yell Familia as he did it, you know.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Pull up a Corona, yell Familia, and just slam on his brakes.
I mean, I was like, man, these are some armor, like, those are armored vehicles. What are these tiny taxis going to do? They do a lot. They stop them somehow.
Weren't they just Jeeps?
They looked a lot. They're a lot bigger than those tiny ass taxis.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know, cars. Whatever. I don't care about that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter to me. But I do really enjoy that moment, especially because like taxi drivers were literally murdered by the military as well for bringing people to hospitals, for driving their taxis around Gwangju and like literally pulled out of their vehicles and shot. So I was okay with that false narrative right there because it just I like a good action scene. And actually my unsung hero of the movie are the stunt performers and the action director Seok Jin Yoon, who honestly, between the car fights and all the protests, like, damn, really solid work. Really, really solid work. I thought it looked really good. It had a lot of impact and it was probably my favorite part of the movie. So yeah, that was my unsung hero.
My unsung hero is I've watched a lot of South Korean movies, but I felt like this is the best road trip South Korean.
Nice.
You get to see a lot of parts. Like, you got everything, and I really enjoyed just kind of traveling around South Korea with them.
Nice.
It got dark, but I was like,
it's a bit dark, but
like so much is in Seoul or Busan, right? So many of these movies. So to get out and see more of it and see more of the countryside, I was all in.
So much green. Man, this movie's tinted green. Lots of it. That green filter for sure. Adam, who's your unsung hero?
Well, it not one of the stunt drivers, but Yoo Ha Jin as Hwang, the taxi driver who brings him home. It was actually between him and the daughter, and the daughter just isn't in it quite enough. But I really liked him. He's the face of Gwangju, and to me, like, he's like the most relatable person. We get to know him the most. and you can see that he's lived through enough, but he knows how to get through it. But like you mentioned earlier, Britt, like he's able to find levity at times where it's just like, think Christ, it's not the Hunger Games, right? Where it's just everything is dark and we can't find moments of connection and happiness. Like
there's no funny moments at all.
Yeah. So I liked him quite a bit. He was very, very believable in this part, and proving that there are no small parts kind of thing.
Yes.
He's really
great.
good in it.
No, he was great.
He really made the most out of that role. It could have been a very looked over role, and I distinctly remember him every time I think of this movie. Great choice. That was an option for me. Adam, did you do your favorite scene?
No, and it's so funny because it's a moment that feels very like plot devicey, but I can't help but I have enjoyed it, and it's when Jurgen and Kim and the student, they all get separated during that hazy night riot thing.
Yeah.
I think that the tension builds well, and because I don't know the story, I don't know the characters. It did play like a moment where literally anything could have happened, and I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense, because I just don't know where this is going. So I thought it was pretty tense. I thought it was pretty well shot, and I kind of believed, because we've seen Song Kang-ho not be like an idiot, but like be just very affable and like going with the flow, and maybe not the best at just making decisions. That them getting separated is very viable, and I totally am like with that in that moment in the movie.
Yeah, I love that. My favorite scene in the whole movie is the taxi barricade. Really, I think that was really powerful. I think it's the moment where Song Kang-ho's character truly is doing something courageous. It's a moment where he realizes that he can't let people die. And I just think it's really powerful. And watching those little green cars come in to try to save people, just like
it looks great.
It looks great. And then when the student runs the truck into the barricade so that they have more time, it was one of those moments where I was like, I have faith in humanity right now. This is so nice. I haven't had faith in humanity for years at this point. So damn, it's nice to see it showcased in a movie once in a while. And I don't know, I really liked that. It was between that and the car chase scene at the end. But honestly, like the car chase scene is so ridiculous. I love it, but it's so ridiculous.
Familia.
No,
it was good. It was good.
It was good though. Yeah, I mean, okay. Do you guys have anything else that you'd like to discuss about this film?
I think the one thing that I like kind of throughout, and there's a line that he says to his daughter early on in the movie. He goes, learn to bear it. Life is never going to be fair. And this is after a moment when his taxi is in like a brief collision, and his side mirror gets knocked off. And it reminds me, I kind of put that together with this idea of like, it does really get at that, like nothing is permanent, and that things change, but that we don't have to accept that change for what it is, right? That like, yes, like your mirror on your car will break, and I know what he is trying to tell his daughter, because I'll say it to my kids too. Like one of them will come home and it'll be like, hey, this person said this to me at school today. I go, well, yes, that sucks. And like, I wish I could like just fix it. But like, are you healthy? Are you happy? Are you actually okay? Did it suck in the moment? And I was like, yes. Like, well, you're going to be okay, right? Live to fight another day. When really it's like, I wish I could just have like a better answer to that situation. But yeah. I think having all that stuff early on, and then obviously him turning back and going to do it. I like and if you're really trying to look for those like Jordan Peele-esque clues early on in the movie that are like really nice visual metaphors that we don't call a lot of attention to, like the breaking of the mirror and then trying to replace it, just goes to show you like, yes, life can be futile, things can be broken, but that we're not just stuck in it, that those breaks are not permanent, and that we can fix them should we so choose to.
Yeah. I think that's absolutely that line stuck out to me as well.
Otherwise, though, I think that's my last highlighted note on my sheet, because I think we covered a lot of it.
The one thing I wanted to bring up was the fact that this is based on a true story, but it's a very fictionalized version of a true story. Sure. It takes a lot of liberties, and I don't really have a problem with it taking a ton of liberties, because I personally think the storytelling worked for me. Again, it made me jump into a part of history that I haven't researched at all. And now I feel like I know more about it. There are plenty of books I want to read about it now. So I appreciate that. The interesting things that I think they changed was like the original driver, Kim, was a political activist. Like he was he was known for driving political people to places of political unrest. He also was very good at English, which is one of the reasons why he was known to journalists. It's not as funny. It's not as funny. And he also was a he didn't drive a green taxi. He was a private taxi driver, but he had like 2 or 3 black vans that he drove because he did shuttling from hotels. So, but it's not as striking as the green. Like I appreciate that change. The other one that I love that he got to have a happy ending at the end of this, because the real Kim didn't. He unfortunately was not able to get over what he saw in Gwangju, and he died a few years later. He basically drank himself to death after. His son came out after this movie came out because everybody was trying to find him. And his son was like, well, unfortunately, he died, but here are pictures of him. And the son has actually said that this movie and this experience has been really healing for him, because he held it against his dad that his dad drank himself to death. He really had a hard time with that. And after really like going through the journey of this movie and then finding these pictures of him and the real Hitzpeter, and understanding what his dad went through in Gwangju to get the story out was a healing moment for him. And I'm totally fine that they changed it, because that's so depressing, and it makes me very sad that he didn't have the opportunity to see what effect his work did. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there in case people didn't know about it, because it's a little sad, but truth.
You know, I'm as long as they don't bastardize the story, make it an interesting movie that's going to make people do research into it. I'm not watching it for a documentary.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean,
just don't bastardize the story. Like, obviously, don't be like, haha, the secret police, they're really traumatized children as adults. Like, don't do that.
They didn't. They only did it with that one military man. And I was like, why are we doing this? We don't need it. All right. Okay, great. Well, let's see. This movie is not in the book currently. So if we would like to put it in the book, we got to take something out, which is my favorite thing to do. And I remembered this time to look it up in case I did want to take something out. But we're going to start with Joey first. Joey, do you think a taxi driver should be included in the book of 1001 movies you must see before you die?
I do. One, there's not enough Song Kang-ho in the book.
Agreed.
Stuff should be there. But this is also a piece of history that I don't know about, that I think people don't know about. It doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. But I do think it's an undertold story that I think should be told more. I think, don't think it's perfect, but I think it does a lot really well. And I think it's super watchable. So I say yes. And to take out Elephant by Gus Van Sant, because fuck that movie.
That's hysterical. And we will discuss when we come around to me. But Adam, go ahead. Say what you like, dude.
I will. And I've already taken Elephant out of the book multiple times because I
have too.
hard agree.
I took it out once before as well.
And to me, there are like Sergeant York no's, right? You know, there are no's where it's like, no. The Day the Earth Stood Still, no.
Whiskey Galore.
Oh, holy shit, that movie. I couldn't remember the last movie we covered, and it was Whiskey Galore.
Whiskey Galore.
That's a no where like I regret life decisions, right? Like yes. That's not the kind of no I'm giving to this movie. I am saying no. I don't think it should be in the book. And yes, I'm all for a third term, but really what I'm trying to get to is that Joey caught that. That was a little faster there.
Yeah, it took me a minute.
Adam only wants movies in the book where the government is shown to be heroes and saints and flawless people they are.
Yes, exactly.
That is what Adam wants.
But no, I just don't know that the filmmaking is all there for what I would like to be in the book. And I'm sure there are plenty of movies from the 30s and 40s and 50s that like aren't great, that shouldn't be in, but I haven't seen them yet, and I'm not going to just take them out because I haven't seen them. So I'm going to say no, because apparently I am pro-government. So there you go.
Pro-government? You just hate movies that I've decided to like put on the podcast. That's what I've decided. It feels very personal. Very personal.
Except for we agreed on the piano and Joey did not.
That's true. That's like the one time. Joey was wrong then.
Well, come on. I'm sure we can find another time. Don't just single it out.
No. I think we actually agree more often than Joey and I agree, which surprises me because
I don't think that's true. I'm just trying not to be on the one movie.
It was in one of the seasons. In one of the seasons, you and I agreed the most. I remember that. I think it might have been the first season. But now I think I'm meaner. Or maybe you're meaner. Maybe we're all meaner.
I think I'm meaner. I really think I'm meaner. Yeah.
So I do think that this movie should be in the book. I think that this is basically for everything that Joey said. Also, this movie is so heavily swayed by Western films that we need to make room for movies that manage to entertain and educate at the same time, which I feel like this movie does. This movie made me want to go research after the fact, and it made me want, even if I wasn't doing this podcast, I think I still would have tried to dive into the Gwangju Uprising because I want to know more about it. And I think we just have way too many Western interpretations of war and uprisings and whatever. So I'm over it. Let's get something out. And so I'm actually going to take a Gus Van Sant movie out of the book as well. From 1989. I'm going to take out Drugstore Cowboys. I just think it's really useless and I don't like it. I dislike it. I think a Taxi Driver is far more worth your time. So I'm gonna take that out. Yeah.
I have not seen it, but yeah, Gus Van Sant is taking a beating today. There you go.
I think he'll be fine.
But to be fair, wait, no.
What were you going to say?
I derailed myself. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Well, there you go. We've got 2 yeses and a no, but big surprise there from our dear friend McAdam.
Its students will be able to guess who said yes and who said no.
I'm trying to
from the revolution.
I'm indoctrinating them as we speak. Yes.
Oh, but what do we
no,
have?
Professor Lockjaw.
Can I tell you a quick story though? Because so we've only watched 4 movies in class so far, and I do this thing where once we get to 3, we start ranking them, and they can rank the films, and we try to find what ones like resonating the most. We've only seen 4 movies so far. We've seen Dr. Strangelove, Sherlock Jr., Wizard of Oz, and I showed them LA Confidential, and every student besides one ranked LA Confidential as their favorite film, and that has not happened. I have not had a movie be that overwhelmingly picked as the favorite, and I finished it last week. Dude, guys, I know we talked about it, but LA Confidential fucking rocks. That movie is so fucking good.
So good.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's a very
quick tangent.
good
I am indoctrinating my students, but to go see better movies. That is what I am trying to do.
There you go.
Next week, we are covering. It's been a minute since we have covered a documentary on the podcast, and so we are covering what I think is a seminal documentary from 1994, and that is Hoop Dreams.
I actually
have either of you? Okay, that's what I was curious. All right,
I've seen it.
Okay, all right.
It's not my thing.
So long.
It's
so good.
Amazing.
It's so long.
It's 3 hours, and it's about
so
basketball.
good.
It is.
It's not my thing, but
but it's about so much more.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure
Britt,
it is.
you're gonna end up being the highest on it.
Probably. I feel like I'm very forgiving of things right now.
So that was a Taxi Driver, but until next time, I am Adam.
I am not a sad Britt.
And I continue to be Joey.
And we will see you for Hoop Dreams.